First of all, though, let's talk about that big Gianluigi Donnaruuma news after he was left out of the PSG squad for tonight's UEFA Super Cup against Tottenham Hotspur. Let's speak to our European football expert, Julien Laurens. Julien, long time, my man. Hope you're doing well. Let's start with that Donnarumma news then, shall we? From a PSG perspective, what's happened here? Are you surprised by this news?
Not really surprised, although from the outside it could look a bit cruel considering what Donnarumma has done last season, especially in the second half of the season where he was incredible, and without him really PSG would not have won the Champions League. But there's a couple of things. The first one is that his contract was expiring next year. He only had 1 year left on his contract and there was just no agreement over an extension. I think they talked for a while, the club and Enzo Raiola, his agent. They could not really find an agreement financially. Donnarumma was making a lot of money on an old type of contract, the ones that the club doesn't give anymore. Now they tend to do low wages and then a lot of incentive to go much higher. Donnarumma is still on the old one where you have high wages and that's it pretty much. And Donnarumma didn't want to change that really. He was happy with that kind of structure for his contract, but just wanted a bit of a pay rise. PSG were not really ready for that. They went back and forth, and in the end, PSG said, listen, we're going to go somewhere else. They signed Lucas Chevalier, who's younger, better with the ball at his feet in his distribution, better on crosses, which is the two weaknesses really that Donnarumma has. But it feels like you're letting go the best goalkeeper in the world right now, certainly on his line, to get a talented young player, for sure, but not with the same experience or successful career.
So where could he go then? I mean, obviously now a lot of Premier League fans are thinking, well, this Premier League club could do with him, this Premier League club could do with him. But there seems to be a lot of momentum behind Manchester City at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, for what I know and what I was told again this morning, they're the only club right now to have contacted PSG for Donnarumma, and they were already in contact with his entourage. The one thing, first they need to get rid of Ederson because they already have Trafford that they just signed for £27 million, plus Ortega who's still there. It would not make sense to keep Ederson and have Donnarumma as well coming in. We expect PSG to ask a fee around £40 million, which is a lot of money, but he's the best goalkeeper in the world, as we've said. The other thing is, he's not really a Pep Guardiola type of goalkeeper or type of player. Like I've said before, his distribution is not good, and that's also why PSG were happy to go for somebody much better on the ball than Donnarumma. If you are a goalkeeper for Pep Guardiola, ask Joe Hart, you need to be very good on the ball, which is not the case of Donnarumma. And then there's crosses. If you want to do well in the Premier League, you need to be good in the air, good on crosses, good on corners, which again, it's not him. He doesn't come out on corners or crosses. So this is the truth. They are in contact with the club, with PSG and with the entourage of Donnarumma. But for me, I'm just amazed because it doesn't make much sense why they would go for him and spend all that money on him. I know he's only 26 years old and there's room for improvement, sure, but he's definitely not a Guardiola type of player, and certainly not the way City play. So unless they change their style, or it's a very short-term thinking, there might be just one more year of Guardiola and he wants the best on his line, regardless of how good he is in the air or on the ball. But that is one that really surprises me.
Yeah, you're right. He's almost the polar opposite of goalkeeper to Ederson, isn't he? And we are hearing from Manchester City that they want Ederson to stay at the club and be their number one goalkeeper. So this is a sort of slightly interesting link, isn't it, between the two clubs? Where else in the Premier League do you think he could go? Do you think Chelsea and Manchester United could change their stance on their own goalkeepers now that Donnarumma is available?
I mean, I think they are the other two clubs. The thing with Chelsea is that they don't give wages like the ones Donnarumma wants. I mean, he's already making more than 10 million a year. There's none of that money at Chelsea right now since Bluco arrived. So that contract won't be on the table for him unless they change and they pay him what he wants. I don't see that happen. So then there's United. But United have the Onana issue right now, is that to sign another goalkeeper, they need to find a club for him, and he's injured, and it will be very difficult to offload Andre Onana right now. So I think United have distanced themselves a little bit from the Donnarumma situation, but they might come back later in the window because I do think that they want an upgrade on Onana. I think Donnarumma will be, even if, again, I think Ruben Amorim likes goalkeeper who can play a bit, and that's not really the case for Donnarumma.
OK, let's move things on to Liverpool then, and a player that you will have seen a lot of course, and that is Ugo Ekitiké. he was pretty impressive, wasn't he, in that Community Shield match on the weekend? He looks to have settled in very well so far. I suppose that hasn't surprised you.
No, not at all. I mean, super talent. He showed it when he started in the French top flight when he was 16 and 17. Then he went to PSG, which was the wrong choice and the wrong move for him at the time. He arrived in a dressing room full of egos where the front three was already Messi, Neymar and Mbappe. There was no room for him, and just coming on for 5-10 minutes was never going to work out. But we saw in Germany when he went to Frankfurt how good he could be, and he's still very young. He's only 22 years old. But we saw in that Community Shield on Sunday everything he can do. His finish is great. His first touch on the back foot is great. Then all the linker play, already you see the relationship with Wirtz being super good. There's no doubt. I spoke to somebody at the club before they signed saying, like, do you like him? What happened in Paris? They had a few questions, and go for it. There's no doubt. I don't know how great it would be for a first season. I don't know if the money they paid for him will justify his performances. We will have to wait and see. But he's a smart kid. He's super talented. He's got everything really to do well in the Premier League and also for the best team in the Premier League right now, which is the holding champions. So for me, it was a great move. I know there's all the Isak chats still now, but Ekitiké to Liverpool, I think, made a lot of sense for them and for him.
Yeah, it looks like they've bought well so far, Liverpool, and they're not done yet. They could still get Alexander Isak and Mark Guéhi. If that happens, is this one of the best summer transfer windows you've ever seen for a club?
Oh man, without a doubt. I think this would be the greatest, more even than some Galacticos summers at Real Madrid. This has to be, it's already one of the best, surely. When you get Frimpong, Kerkers, Wirtz and Ekitiké, this is, okay. You've set the bar really high. If you add to that an England international in Mark Guéhi, FA Cup winner as captain for Crystal Palace, and then Isak, who in March, when he was walking on water, was probably the best number 9 in the world, you're thinking, okay, this is unbeatable, unmatched. It would be amazing. I don't know if financially they can do that. Guéhi is probably around 35, 40 million pounds. For Isak, you look at 140, 150, that would be another 200 on everything they've already spent. And they got good money for Luis Diaz, good money for Darwin, no problem. Kwanzaa as well, maybe Elliott. I get that, but it's still another 200 million for 2 players. So we'll see. Guéhi, I'm sure, will happen. And again, we can look at it and think he would come as a sub because Konate and Van Dijk are your pairing as centre-backs, and he's not going to change that, I think. So for his point of view and his perspective, could this be a bit of a strange move? Maybe, but I think it will happen. For Isak, I think the saga will rumble on until quite late in the transfer window.
And Julien, I just want to finish with Bournemouth because they've sold Ilya Zabarnyi to PSG on Monday. Howson has already gone, Kerkez too. They've completed the signing of centre-back Bafodé Ekitiké from Lille today, though. So what will he offer Bournemouth, and is he capable of helping fill those 2 big holes left by Howson and Zabarnyi?
I really think so. It's a great signing. One of the best centre-backs in Ligue 1. Not just last season, but even the season before. Had a great European campaign too in the Champions League with Lille last year, where he played against Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid and was outstanding against their forwards and their strikers. Great player that I don't think Lille really wanted to let go a year after losing Lenny Yoro already to the Premier League and to Manchester United. But the offer was great. I think it's good for him to make that step up to the Premier League, and I think inevitably could have a destiny like the Zabarnyi one and the Howson one, where then an even bigger club in England comes and get him, because he's really that good. He's an outstanding centre-back, good in the challenges, good on the man, can play as well, he's quick, he's good in the air. That was a great signing. They liked Nathan Zeze as well, who they were outpriced by Saudi Arabia, and he went to Neom instead of coming to Bournemouth. But Diakité was always quite high on their shortlist, and it's a very good signing from them.
I think that'll be music to Bournemouth fans' ears. Great to talk to you, Julien. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.